Hello everyone. Just getting myself all set up here. I had to change into a different room and you can still see. Good, wonderful. This is the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. This is why I am here. By here, I mean not just on Facebook doing this video. I mean here in the physical realm with a physical body. I am a galactic walk-in. That means that for most of my existence, I am not a person with a face and 2 arms and 2 legs. I'm in this body in order to communicate to you all about this crucial information, this beautiful, wonderful thing. Hello, welcome to everyone who's joining. I'm teaching you all about what the Flying Rainbow Lasagna is. This is the next highest dimensional shape of this. This is what your chakras or energy centers are ordinarily shaped like. These are 2 tori or donuts. This is also the shape of Earth's magnetic field. Ordinarily, when you add another dimension to it, this is the shape that develops, and this is the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. And I'm going to relate all of this to the time field, to your individual life, and to how that is relevant to events, world events, and politics today. Because dark magic is an intentional disruption of the time field. And when I'm talking about the time field, I'm speaking about this. I know this is a horrible sketch. I will draw a better sketch so that you can see it a little bit better. But I'm going to start off with this basic shape, okay? This basic shape you can see is superimposed on this lower quadrant of this shape. This is the shape of energy that is flowing around and through and interpenetrating the cellular organic portion of your body. And you are made of time. This is the portion of your body that is made of time. Okay, thank you very much for helping me out on that. I'm going to change the screen so you can see things better. Please tell me you can see things better now. Fantastic, thank you. I know, technological stuff. So, this is the lower quadrant of this, all right? Now you understand, this is a shape that is made of energy that is constantly moving and flowing. This center here, this is the singularity, not to be confused with transhumanism's singularity. This is the singularity that is the convergence point of all of these timelines and also the place that they all emanate from. It's the 0th dimension. 0 not because it is the least valuable, but because it is the place that everything exists. Everything exists there. All time, all possibilities, all probabilities, all consciousness exists overlapping at that spot. Yes, this is a toroid, absolutely, and there's actually 2 of them here. There's one that is going around like this, and there's one that is going around like this. And it creates this shape inside. You can see the negative space, negative not meaning evil or dark, but the negative space in there actually creates this shape. And you'll see this as a repeating shape all the way throughout my artwork, and you'll see it repeated back there in that spot too, on that tiling. The whole point is, by its definition, this is single. There's only supposed to be one of it. Infinity. It is the place where everything is. So when I created the Flying Rainbow Lasagna, as my journey coming here as a walk-in, I did not break the rules of the consciousness cosmos. It's just like math. You get to high levels of math, you do proofs, and proofs are statements, like rational statements, and they cannot be in conflict with any of the other rational statements that came before them. So this is one level of rational statements of reality. And this is my solution, my next level of what you can do with this. When you take this and you add another dimension to it, this is the shape that you get. You take this singularity that's over here, and if we turned this way, if we make it jump up and down, up and down, up and down, it makes this shape. This shape, this is the singularity up here and down here and up here and down here. And what that does is resolves duality. The outside of this shape becomes the inside of this shape, and then the inside becomes the outside again. And I'm using inside and outside. If we define inside as being any surface that faces the interior of the sculpture itself, and the outside as being any surface that faces the room that we are in. That's the whole point. We're in a room. This shape represents a contextless reality. Only the shape exists. It doesn't exist in an actual context. When we place this shape in an actual context, that's the process of putting it in a higher dimension. So now, no, not the flying spaghetti monster. This is the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. And lasagna, it is so named because of the curly edge, resembles the curly edge of a lasagna noodle, and because the various layers of the lasagna refer to various layers of reality. So I'll go through the layers very, very quickly. And this is why I am obsessed with the rainbow. It's why I always wear rainbow colors, because I am always trying to express this truth. We have a multi-layered body. The physical or red layer is just one portion of that multi-layered body. Orange is the mammalian emotional layer, not to be confused with green, unconditional love, which is a higher tone of emotions. So physical, mammalian emotions. Yellow is the human operating system. I often call it the hacked human operating system, because just like Windows 10, when you install Windows 10 on your computer, it makes it possible for Windows and Microsoft to read whatever's on your computer. And when you install the human operating system, it makes it possible for the inventors of the human operating system to read your mind. You have no privacy. They can read whatever you're freaking thinking. And these are the genetic engineers that transformed the human form about 10 or 20,000 years ago. Now we're getting into, why do you need the Flying Rainbow Lasagna? Why do you need me, an extraterrestrial galactic entity, to get a human body and come here and teach you about the Flying Rainbow Lasagna? Why do you need this? And the answer is because you've been invaded. You've been invaded. Bad news. You've been invaded. And the invasion happened about 10 or 20,000 years ago, and it has pretty much wiped your memory and created a distorted time field. So now I'm going to get into stuff that people might not want to talk about because it's a very dark topic. It's the pedophilia and human trafficking that is part of ritual abuse that is a distortion of the time field. So now you have to understand what the time field is. All right, remember this is superimposed of this lower quadrant. This portion down here, this is 0, like your birth. And imagine time moves upward in this direction, and we could say maybe over here is like 100 years. Here's 100 years. These are all timelines, and I'm going to first draw the most important special best timeline that goes all the way up. And you will also understand in this drawing of the time field, this is actually a tiny little wormhole, only big enough for one little timeline to get through. But those two membranes, here and here, they don't exactly touch. And that's that center point. In there, they don't exactly touch. They almost touch, but not quite. That is the path of least likelihood. This is the path that our consciousness is supposed to take when our bodies were designed. This is the divine plan for us. We were supposed to be emanated from the source, come out here into reality, and then occupy with our consciousness, going up this timeline and make it back to the source and be an unbroken conduit. And our entire existence was meant to be done in an unbroken connection to higher consciousness. That means not like coming down here and getting your mind wiped and being like, who am I? What am I doing? Bouncing around and, hitting the membrane of death. That's not what our lives were supposed to be. We were supposed to be miniature containers for divinity. Divinity meaning the stellar network. This is a stellar network of consciousness, not the star beings that live on planets and use technology. Those beings are not divine beings, even though they might have changed the human genetic code and given you a tendency to worship them as if they are gods. And this tendency must be understood very similar to when you are a human infant. You're a human infant, you come here, you're completely connected to God and like looking at the world through the beautiful filter of just clarity and naivete, and you look at your mommy and daddy and you think, Mommy and Daddy are God. You don't understand. Mommy and Daddy are merely flawed humans that have their own particular personality and ego and agenda. And then as you go through life, you start to learn, wait a minute, mom and dad don't know everything. Wait a minute, they're making obvious mistakes. And then by the time you're a teenager, you're usually like, wait, mom and dad, you don't know anything. I know what I'm doing and I'm going to figure it out on my own. And this is very necessary because we have to be different than the previous generation. This shape allows you to rewrite your genetic code. You get to be the author of your own experience. This shape is like a pencil with an eraser. It doesn't matter what your ancestors and your immediate predecessors, your parental generation has given to you, or what your grandparents have given to you. This pencil with an eraser allows you to transform into the shape that you were intended to be. So first of all, I'll speak a little bit about the shape that we were intended to be. We were intended to be light eaters, that you could get all the nourishment you need simply by connecting directly to the sun and the stellar network. It's a network of consciousness, like a big giant brain up there in the sky that we're supposed to be connected to. And by being connected to that network, we get all of our nourishment, all of our ideas, all of the cellular vitality that we need to stay alive. So not only, you do not have disease, you have a state of total health and vitality. So that is how we were intended to live. But about 10 or 20,000 years ago, genetic invaders came. And what they did was took our chakra system that was essentially oriented like this, right? In alignment with that central core timeline of possibility, and they twisted the chakras over to the side like this. And what that did was it aimed everybody at the membrane of death. Now you have to understand that this membrane is a flowing membrane. So, it starts out up here and flows in this direction. And it is comprised of the last moments of every single one of these timelines. I'm trying to write and draw. It's very hard to do this. I don't have a little whiteboard to work with. But all of these little lollipops that I am making, first of all, you have to understand this is a simplification. This is not really how time flows. Time actually flows around like this, like a spiral, okay? But for the ease of making this diagram, I'm drawing it just like lines that start out down here and they move upward over here. And these lollipops, that's the last moment of your death. Last moment of your life, rather. And the last moment contains every single moment that has led up to that moment. So if we were going to take a snapshot or save the hard drive of you, we could just save you at your last moment of death, and we've got everything that came beforehand. And the way that the flow of time has been going for the past 10 or 20,000 years, we circulate, we come down here, we assemble, we are born, we make it to the membrane of death immediately after birth. This is like you are born and you die a second later. I don't know, maybe the cord was wrapped around your neck. And then you have to go all the way back around and reassemble and get born again. This is just like Groundhog's Day. Groundhog's Day is a brilliant existential movie that gives me a shorthand to be able to speak to humanity about the time looping that you are being subjected to. So then you get born again, and then you survive maybe 24 hours after birth, but then you get killed by a pathogenic virus, and you have to try again. So a lot of the learning curve is just learning how to have a body and not get dropped on your head or killed by a virus or fall down the stairs, and you're constantly doing this. And then, so this is what is understood. If you are in alignment like this, then you are on this ascension pathway, and ascension shall not be misinterpreted as being analogous to the Christian rapture, where you are floating upwards in the sky. I'm sitting here in a chair, and I can be on the ascension pathway. It has to do with the timelines that one is experiencing. But those genetic invaders that came about 10 or 20,000 years ago, they turned everybody's chakras. So now, instead of going in the direction you're supposed to go and getting out of here, you keep hitting the membrane of death and having to circulate back. And it's not just on this side, too. You have timelines on all of this side, and imagine you have to fill up this entire space. All of this, you have to fill this up with iterations, meaning possible combinations. This is like the choose your own adventure novel of your life. If you choose this, go to page 24. If you choose something else, go to page 27. And you are like a video game player trying to figure out what choices do I have to make in order to get out of the video game. What choices do I have to make in order to get onto this timeline and get out of here and get to where we're actually supposed to be? Because this is not the final level of reality. It's not the end of the quote-unquote video game. This is one level, and it's a very distorted level. So that's what I'm trying to communicate to humanity. First of all, this is a distorted level of humanity. Our physical embodiment here in this world is being distorted from the way that it was meant to be. Death is an aberration, a thing that should not exist. We were not invented to die. And now I'm going to get into religion and dark magic, because the real reason why I came on here is because I was talking with a friend last night. She's like, Aurora, I know you're sharing a lot of information and revelations about pedophilia and dark magic at high levels in our government. People need love and a hopeful message of like what we can do, how we can get out of this. So you need to understand how the time field is being distorted and who is doing it and why they're doing it. The time field is this, a beautiful embroidery, a three-dimensional embroidery of timelines and awareness and consciousness, and you're part of it. This is like the needle of your awareness, and you are playing the record of life, like an old-fashioned analog record, you know, with the needle moving on the groove. We are here experiencing this groove of reality, and it's meant to be a beautiful, divine experience, not an uncomfortable experience of suffering and hardship and death. We were not invented to die. The death is all of this stuff that's happening over here in the periphery, and that is happening because humanity got blinded by these genetic invaders. They changed the functioning of the chakra system. They changed you from being able to be light eaters. This is why you have to eat physical food. It's why you have to kill something else in order to stay alive and, you know, maintain your physical capacity, maintain your consciousness and your physical body. Something else has to die. You have to kill a plant, you have to kill an animal, you have to chew them up with your flapping, moving mouth parts, and use probiotics or microbes to digest them in the cauldron of your belly. And that is not the intended format for what you're supposed to do with your body. Our bodies were created more like to be clean, burning solar furnaces that connect directly to the sun, and they ingest the idea of food. Everything that you're getting, if I eat an apple that grows in the tree at the end of my driveway, that tree thought about an apple all year long in conjunction with the sun and the earth, and at the end of the year, I get to pick that tree's thoughts and actually eat it. And when we get sophisticated enough with our mind, we get to bypass the tree and just go directly to the light, so we can have the experience of eating the apple or experience of being nourished without actually having to kill and eat anything. So these beings that came and diverted humanity, they changed your bodies, they changed everything. This is the invention of the necessity of agriculture and domesticating animals. This is the agriculture and animals. They used to live in their own natural way. Their genes were not changed. When humans changed their genes, had their genes changed rather by these genetic engineers, it also was necessary to begin to change, domesticate plants and animals. This is the beginning of agriculture. So all of this comes from ancient Sumeria, right, about 6,000 years ago. And the beings that gave the culture to ancient Sumeria were technology using extraterrestrials, okay? And all of our religions are coming out of ancient Sumeria, and humanity has been basically worshiping the genetic engineers that degraded you. The myths from Sumeria say, oh, the Anunnaki came here and they took like hominids, you know, like Australopithecine type of beings, and transformed them, raised them up into these levels of sophistication. No, no, no. The Anunnaki, or the genetic overlords, they took what were beings that ate pure light and degraded that body and brought it down into a lower level. So all of this, I just got to drink a little bit of water because I'm trying to get so much information out there. Oh, hold on a second. So this is non-terrestrial technology that is being utilized on Earth right now. Okay, first of all, let me do a brief plug. I do a whole webinar all about this, where I speak extensively about galactic history and where these users of technology came from and why they're in existence. And that's the best thing I can say, is check that out. It's very comprehensive. And if you do not have the money to pay for it, I need new computer equipment so that I can do these videos properly. But if you don't have money, I will private message you the links so that you can watch this information, because this is the whole point. I'm here trying to give you information, and also I'm embedded within this corrupt socioeconomic framework where we have to use money right now. So trying to create things and share things with you, and also, yes, needing in order to get the software in my computer working so that I can make and edit these videos properly. So the whole point is, my boss is talking to me over this, my cat, really hungry. Yes, so I'll leave a link to the course. It is called Galactic History, and it basically describes this. This is the presence of everything. This is everything over here, right? The center portion, this is the singularity. We could call it God or totality consciousness. And it's also like the great composer and the great conductor of the cosmic symphony. And this is the person over here that says who is supposed to be born. Like, now is the beat, now is the beat. You're supposed to be born, you're supposed to be born, you're supposed to go into reality. And when you follow the beat and follow that cosmic symphony, you are love. You are embodying love, you're being love. And in order to get a body like we have, all my audience here, everyone I'm speaking to has a body. You're good musicians. You left the source on the beat, and you got into a womb, and you even got born, and you're even adults, and you're even, so that means you've been circulating the time field like an expert for a long enough time, and you haven't died. And all of that is like, you know, quite amazing that you've been able to do that. My boss needs to go out. Hold on a second, I have to let my cat outside. She's driving me crazy. I'm doing a video. Okay, go outside. Go outside, go outside. I know, she's driving me crazy. Okay. Distortion of the time field. So the beings that emanated themselves, but not on a bridge of love. So there were a bunch of beings that were at the source, and they said, we're not going to be good musicians. We are not going to go on the beat, and we're not going to go into organic containers. We're not going to get born in a womb. We are going to create artificial containers that don't require life force energy. You understand? These containers require life force energy, a connection to the divine, so that we still get to be alive. And if you cut off someone's connection to the divine, their body doesn't work anymore because you can't be alive anymore. These are beings who said, I want to find a way to be alive without having to be connected to God, without having to follow this pattern of energy as it flows in the cosmos, a way to be alive without having to be a good musician. These are bad musicians. They don't know how to read music. Their instruments are totally out of tune. They don't play on the beat, and they don't want to play with the rest of the band, but they wanted to be in reality. These are the beings that invented technology. Technology did not have to be in existence before this because there was no need to compensate. When you are connected to the divine, you have everything that you need. So right now in this state, we need to use a little bit of technology to compensate. Hey, guess what? I use contact lenses in order to correct my vision, and I've had, fillings in these teeth. Like, this is technology. And all of the things that we use, electricity and all of the other things, agriculture, domesticated animals so that we can eat our food and we don't hunt and gather. All of that is a form of technology, a compensatory mode that is made because we are not in our wild, undomesticated format. This is the domesticated format. I'm talking to all of you. We are like dogs. We are not like wolves. Wolves are the wild, undomesticated format that gets to run around, and they don't get fleas, and they don't get worms, and they have this innate architecture that helps them to stay healthy without human help. But if you look at a junkyard dog, the dog is horribly riddled with mange and fleas and everything that's a problem because it's not being taken care of by a human. Dogs are domesticated. They need to live in human partnership. Humans are domesticated, and you need to live in partnership with a set of lowercase g gods that take care of you. And these lowercase g gods are affecting the time field. Now we're going to get into sacrifice and religion. Sacrifice and religion. This is basic human history. The idea that in order to worship, you kill something. This is religion. This is religion as it is, let's say, within human history. Human recorded history is within the past 6,000 years, beginning in ancient Sumeria. There is a long period of history before that humans right now do not have access to. We could call that Kemet, K-H-M-E-T, the Kemet world of Egypt or pre-pharaonic Egypt. Or it is also known as the mythological time of ancient Atlantis. Back then, in that time, everybody ascended. Everybody ascended. And everybody had a working apparatus up here and had the capacity to see through time and control their trajectory of consciousness. It was not necessary to pray to an externalized God to get what you need. But when humanity was blinded, humanity also became like the servants or the workers for these lowercase gods. And the lowercase gods say the way that you worship is by killing something and giving that life force energy to me. So the real God, the real creator of life force energy and the real creator of the time field would never want you to kill an organism in their honor. The real, like I'm talking about, the being that has embroidered reality into this, it's like this. It's like this times a million. What I paint times a million. It's a three-dimensional moving, living sculpture. That God would never want you to worship it by taking something and letting out all of its blood. So that instead of going up the center and rejoining with God, it joins the membrane of death and has to circulate back around. All of that, that distortion of the time field, all of that is worshiping lower level gods, and these are actually technology using extraterrestrials. The stuff that makes their technology work is life force energy, which is in human blood and in human sexuality, all right? So I got an electric light bulb up there that is making artificial sunlight. It's made of electrons flowing in a wire. That's terrestrial technology. But extraterrestrial technology does not run on electrons flowing in a wire. It runs on genetic code. It runs on consciousness. It runs on awareness. So it is the trapping of that awareness. So imagine the very first sacrifice that was ever made to a quote-unquote God. I'm going to take this, a dove, or whatever, an animal, and I'm going to say, I now dedicate the death of this animal to this God. And I cut off its head, and all of that energy of this bird that would have been going up here and being divine, it gets siphoned off. And if we calculate the difference between this trajectory and this trajectory, that is how much energy went into dark magic. And then let's say it's 5 units of energy. You sacrificed a bird and you got 5 units of energy. Now we can use 5 units of energy to distort the time field. That bird was supposed to be doing things in time. It was supposed to be meeting other birds and having baby birds and sending its consciousness down the levels of the genetics. And that bird's not going to do that now. So now we're looking at a distorted time field. And we're looking at how many things have been killed in the name of gods over human history. All of the animals that were sacrificed, all of the humans that were sacrificed in wars in the name of gods. This is all dark magic. And I am not here to insult, I'm not here like an extraterrestrial where I'm coming down here and saying, I'm insulting you humans, you are stupid. I'm not doing that at all. I am not here to, insult your religion and your ancestry and the things that you hold dear. I am here in order to give you real information for connecting to true divinity and not being mistaken with lies and things that aren't really true. So think about, now I have to get into Judaism. None of this is meant to be used as an excuse to kill or murder or smite people. Please understand, because Judaism is a corrupt religion. Christianity is a corrupt religion. Hinduism is a corrupt religion. All of these religions are control systems that are corrupt. And so in Judaism, the basic understanding is that the Jewish people were created by genetic engineering of an extraterrestrial that changed their capacity to listen inside and says, you're going to listen to me and I'm going to be your God. This is not higher God at all. This is lower level God that says, like, as a science experiment, I'm going to take all of you, population out of ancient Egypt, and I'm going to transform you, and you're going to listen to me. I'm going to talk to you on your radio broadcast up here, and I'm going to tell you what to do. And this is what this God did, and it's Lord God Jehovah. This is not an abstraction. And again, I am not here to insult Jewish people, and I am not here to give people an excuse to murder. You cannot murder Jewish people because I'm telling you this information. I'm giving you history so that you can understand your present circumstance. And basically, this is the origin of Judeo-Christianity. It's the origin of why we kill people, why we kill things, why we have wars, and how we can get to peace. Those beings that were changed and were given a set of laws. This now makes them, the Jewish people, that they were taught that the way to worship is to build a temple that has a special structure according to what this extraterrestrial God told them, and then kill animals in this prescribed manner. This is the ancient form of worship in the ancient Jewish world. So that temple existed only for a certain amount of time, and it was destroyed, it was built again, it was destroyed again. That happened after, the death of the historical Jesus or Yeshua. When that happened, when the temple was destroyed, the Jewish people said, we can't worship in the way that we have been worshiping by doing these sacrificial, sacrificing and rituals. We have to find a more portable way of doing this now. So that is when Judaism changed into being a religion of the book, where the incantations, the speaking and praying was really about saying the right words and carrying the book. But it's not so innocent, because you have to understand that the Torah scrolls, for them to be kosher, have to be written on an animal's skin. They're made of parchment. It can't just be made of regular paper. It has to be animal skin. And that is the vestige of the religion of animal sacrifice that Judaism is an outgrowth of, modern, present-day Judaism. So in each synagogue, there is a Torah that is actually the dead animal skin. And there are also other holidays during, hello, good to see you, I see people joining in, other holidays during the year where animal body parts are used, like the blowing of the shofar or the paschal lamb. These are all vestigial traces of animal sacrifice in Judaism. Guess what? There's ritual sacrifice vestiges in Christianity too, because the whole idea is that a person was born in the culture of people that were genetically changed to perceive Jehovah as their God, and that he said, I'm going to be like the last sacrifice that ever has to be made, so that you all don't have to sacrifice things anymore. And this is the whole concept behind Christianity, that a Jewish person said, I'm going to be a sacrifice, I'm going to be a human sacrifice, and now, because we do that, we don't have to have any more sacrifices. But clearly, if that happened 2,000 years ago, we have had many, many more sacrifices since then. So it has not been the resolution that it was intended to be, that I really do believe that there was a pure impulse of energy that came to Earth and said, I am here to change human consciousness. And that's why I wear a cross. I'm actually reclaiming this symbol from the biblical literalists that wear it, from the people that believe in the literal interpretation of the words of the Bible, which have really been distorted. That is not. I have a connection to Christ consciousness. That is what this is. And I'm trying to tell you, Christ consciousness is not only for an elite group of people. Everybody in the entire world has this aperture on our body. And it's our birthright. We are all here in order to have this activated on our body and also be connected to the divine, where we no longer worship an external deity, but we are returning to that experience of being on this timeline. When we're on this timeline, the truth is, I am God. And I'm not saying Aurora is God. Each one of you, from your own individual perspective, understands, I am God. Each one of us is God. Each one of us is this divinity projecting itself into the physical reality and then returning to that abstraction. And so that means that each one of us is a shard of the totality consciousness. Each one of us is doing this. How do we heal the beings that are so distorted that they would literally kill, rape, and cannibalize other people in order to extend their own consciousness? This is what this is all about. Dark magic is what happens when you kill something or rape someone or sexually abuse someone, and they were going in this direction on their trajectory, but now all of a sudden they get changed and they go in this direction. So here's an example of dark magic in ritual abuse. A child who has the potential, let's say, to be like a really great singer or world leader, or something that means like you have to be on a stage feeling great about yourself. Let's say that child is sexually abused, and then all of a sudden they get turned over to this way. They don't feel good about themselves. They don't feel like they can be a leader and be on a stage in front of other people. They go off on this direction. A lot of people use drugs in order to make themselves feel better. A lot of it is about assuaging the soul that knows that it is not being its true self. Like when it's not I hate to use the word victim because victim is a non-empowering word, but it is not the fault of the person that experiences the abuse. That I'm here in order to share this because we don't have to be victimized. We don't have to be hostages. We don't have to be changed. I am Aurora because Debbie was ritually sacrificed, okay? I am Aurora because the person who used to live in this body, the ego that grew up for 27 years and used to live in this body, was ritually sacrificed. And I am the extraterrestrial that is in this body now through the Flying Rainbow Lasagna, telling you, you don't have to be limited. You don't have to be a hostage. You don't have to be a victim. So that basically, if you have been hijacked and you're going in this direction, you can change your direction and go back in this direction. That's the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. And that is what I'm here. All of the sacrificial victims in this moment get to change their trajectory from going over here to reclaiming their will and being the people that they are actually supposed to be. That's what this is all about. This is supposed to be about your divine expression, the true nature of who you are. So it means without being impeded or influenced or diminished by family members or society or anybody else. I know that there are lots of questions that are coming through in the chat, and I'm going to answer them. I'm just in my flow, I'm in my groove. So I know that a lot of this is, how do we do this? How do we do this? So part of it is I'm giving you a new software program just by speaking to you and showing this to you. You know, I use artwork and sculptures and imagery because this is a hacked operating system. Language is a virus. It is like an app that is running inside of your hacked operating system. But things like a visual sculpture and artwork, these images, they get beyond the hack. They get beyond the limitations that were programmed in by the genetic engineers so that you can understand them profoundly on a different level. So I'm speaking to you and giving you software program, but a lot of it is about internal development. So one of the big things is, you know, mindfulness and meditation, getting out of the hacked operating system that's constantly verbally speaking and getting into abstraction and non-verbal understanding. I also do sun gazing and I advocate sun gazing. And sun gazing is not staring at the eye with your, staring at the sun rather with your physical eyes. It is aligning your consciousness using your other eye and this up here. So I teach all about this. And again, it's not my intention to come up here and do a video like I'm some kind of a salesperson trying to sell something to you, and I need new computer equipment and new software so I can do my webinars properly, and I've been here for 15 years trying to tell you about the Flying Rainbow Lasagna so you don't have to be slaves anymore. So if you feel like it, please take my online class. It's called Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans, and I'll leave the links there. There's the relevant information is enabled for free preview, so that you can see in the animations how to transform this into this. It's a meditation technique. It is an oscillation technique. Basically, if this is a membrane that separates two things, we use the Flying Rainbow Lasagna as a movement to jump back and forth really quick across that membrane. And it doesn't cut the membrane. We're not cutting it. We're not cutting the fabric of time and space and consciousness. We're oscillating it so that now the inside and the outside can communicate. What does this mean? I'm giving you all the software, and the software will transform your hardware. And I'm not a transhumanist. You're not a computer. I'm just using this terminology so that we understand it. The ego versus the world. This is one of the structural formation-based lies that we have taught ourselves and ingested as part of the hacked human operating system. It's a necessary level of development to understand your own individuated separation from the world around you. This is like understanding the invention of the cell membrane. We used to have just goo, just a bunch of amino acids and chemicals and stuff like that. It wasn't separated into individual one-celled organisms until the invention of the cell membrane. And the cell membrane states everything that's inside of the cell is different than everything that's outside of the cell. I am only responsible as an individual one-celled organism for everything that's inside of the cell. Screw everything outside of the cell, all right? This is a necessary level of development for biological, creation. But when you look at our body, I don't have my nose cells fighting with my ear cells. they're working together. They're all working together. And that's because we are a multicellular organism. So to get to the level of being a multicellular organism, you have to get past that level of competition of, I only care about what's inside of the membrane. The cell membrane is analogous to you as an ego. Create the narrative structure of who you are when you are a tiny child. I created it in adulthood as a walk-in. Who is Aurora? Aurora is this person. You say, I live at this house. This is my name. This is my favorite sweater. This is the color of my hair. This is who I am. But that is the narrative structure of who you are. The truth is, you are a piece of energy that is in a context of energy. Energy is the world around you, and the context of energy is also part of you. And this is how we start to understand that we are divine beings. We are divine beings, that we emanate from the divine, that we are part of a divine world, and that we are meant to be divine expressions of that. And when I keep on saying that word divine, what do I mean? I mean this pattern. This pattern is perfection. It is what thought is supposed to be structured. It's the music of the world. Right on, right on. I'm trying to blow your minds. And this is the whole, I would like to simply inject lasagna directly into all of you on a genetic level. That basically, that would not be ethical for me to do. So what I can do is be an example, be a template. I changed this body on a subcellular level. The genes of this body are dancing like a flying rainbow lasagna. So now you have to understand, okay, when your genes are supercoiled, your genes are not static objects. Whatever they taught you in your high school science class, your genes are not static objects. They're constantly moving, dancing, twisting and swirling, and being spliced and unspliced and everything so that they can be read by your RNA messengers. This happens inside of the cell, inside of the nucleus, and it is when your DNA is all unfurled and called chromatin. It's like if you took your sweater of your body, and you pulled the thread so that it was no longer knitted together, and you just have a bunch of yarn. That's the DNA in your nucleus during most of your life, and it's called chromatin. And the yarn doesn't just sit there, it dances. It's always dancing, twisting, turning, morphing, tying itself in knots, crocheting itself and uncrocheting itself. And the Flying Rainbow Lasagne is a new dance movement that you can apply to your DNA to restructure it into what it's supposed to be. And I'm like a good art teacher. A good art teacher doesn't say to their class, like, you have to paint like me. I will teach you the techniques and then you will be like my little tiny carbon copies. Like, no, that's a horrible art teacher. A good art teacher says, this is what a pencil with an eraser is. This is what a paintbrush is. This is how you mix colors. This is what pigments are. Now take it and use it and do your own expression. The Flying Rainbow Lasagne is your tool for making art in your own DNA. I implore you to be the author of your own DNA, not me telling you what to do, not any religious figure telling you what to do, that you be a complete 100% artist of your own life. Real artists are not copiers. They're not imposters. They're not imitators. They're unique individuals who come up with their own stuff. And that's your divinity. That's you being God. That's you being connected to the cosmic symphony. That we were not here to be automatons. That's why I will say again, I am not a part of the transhumanist agenda. You are not meant to be automatons. And also the New Age agenda that says you have to be a channel. Like you have to get rid of your ego, kill your ego, and have something better come in and through you. No, you have to refine your ego, just like your body. You don't have to get rid of your body, but you have to refine your body. And you do that by taking the pencil with an eraser and rewriting your genetic code. So for a great deal of your life, your DNA is unfurled and vibrating in your nuclei of your cells as chromatin. And the Flying Rainbow Lasagne is a new movement that you can do with your DNA in order to write it into new patterns. And this is like saying, I can take whatever random book, you can take a telephone book, white pages, and as long as I have a pencil with an eraser, I can erase all the letters that I don't want, and, write in again the letters that I do want. And I could transform a phone book into a masterpiece. It could be James Joyce's Ulysses, it could be anything, it could be The Wizard of Oz. Your body is like the phone book. It is a relatively random selection of genes and tendencies and ideas. And This is why humanity suffers. This is why humanity has diseases. This is why humanity ages. Your body was not made to be, to wear out so quickly. It was not made to get diseases, grow older, grow decrepit, and die. That program is a false overlay for your hacked human operating system, that our body was really created to be almost an eternal mechanism, that it can continually regenerate itself. But to do that, you've got to be connected to a lot of life force energy. So there are wonderful practices that other masters have brought here to earth. That is Tai Chi and other forms of yoga and body integration. These are how you cultivate your life force energy. Hey, there's also things you can do with your diet to cultivate your life force energy. Stay away from anything genetically modified, because those genes that you are eating are affecting your own genes. I'm going to tell you more about genes. Genes are vibrating strings, just like the strings inside of a piano. So right now, my genes are making my own personal song of the Flying Rainbow Lasagna, and it's affecting everyone else here. And this is ethical. We're in a symphony, because we've also got some punk rock anarchists wailing away on the kettle drum, totally making the genetic field distorted. And those are the beings that use dark magic, that use, hijacking sexuality, murdering people, killing things in order to serve a god. That's not serving a true God. And I'm just going to get back to that and wrap that up, because what we are really here to do, the way you really serve God, is not by killing something in God's name. It is by embodying God. By rewriting your genes, you are literally going to be serving divinity. But you're going to go against a lot of interior programming of your mommy and daddy, programming of your religion, programming of your ancestors that don't want you to change. So let's say you come from a bunch of Catholic or Jewish ancestors, and you start to change, and you're like, wait, I don't really feel connected to the Catholic or the Jewish religion anymore. Then all of your ancestors will say, you owe it to us. You have to be like us. You have to carry on that program over time. You do not owe that to your ancestors. You owe it to yourself in this generation to do what is right for yourself in this moment. And let me use this as an example. Plants growing in a meadow, like a bunch of grass and flowers growing in a meadow. Those plants create seeds at the end of each season, and the seeds contain the information that the next generation will need. If they grew in a drought, those seeds pass on to their next generation the information: save water. Save water. It's a drought. You need to save water to stay alive. But the next generation might be living in a very different context. It might be in a very rainy season, but the genes in their seeds passed down from their previous generation say, save your water, it's going to be a drought. But the seeds that are growing this year are like, no, we're getting plenty of water. We don't have to save our water. We have plenty of water this year. So you need to understand that the reverberations that are coming to you in this generation, in this body, from your previous generations, are outdated messages. That they're telling you, it's a drought. Save your water. Don't drink all your water. When the truth is, we are now in a very different context. And if you are busy honoring your ancestors and previous religious expressions and programs that have been handed down to you, you're not going to be acting appropriately for what's going on right here. That you have to be free to improvise and innovate in this context of what we are experiencing right now, because everything has changed in the cosmos and in society. So what is happening right now is the Flying Rainbow Lasagna makes it possible to reclaim your higher faculties. Your higher faculties are everything from unconditional love and above. And this literally is an apparatus of your body, like a camera that you use to look at and perceive the world. And for a very long time, that camera was either blinded in humanity or totally distorted. And the Flying Rainbow Lasagna, this means you get to recalibrate. You get to get this and this back again. This is what the return of Christ consciousness is. Although it is very comforting to think about the literal return of a bearded man from the sky, and we all love him, and he's a rock star, and we want to hug him, and everything like that. The real revolution is a return of Christ consciousness, when everybody can all of a sudden see through here again and be connected to here. And here, the interplay of these two chakras is this. This is like your library card of the cosmos, and this is like the librarian of the cosmos. And the librarian tells you what you need to check out. The librarian turns your head this way or this way and says, look over there, understand that, understand that. This is your attention, literally from Greek, atenuos, meaning to reach out. This is an aperture that reaches out like an elephant's trunk and touches on things and learns about whatever it touches upon. So you need guidance, because if you just go about randomly perceiving the world, that is how you get distorted information. Like if you just touch on the idea, I am God, and then you don't read the rest of the paragraph, which also says, everything that is here is God. All consciousness is God, and we are all living together. Then you get that distorted understanding. So we are understanding that it is necessary to reclaim all of these higher faculties, and that is what humanity is doing. That is what this raising of vibration is happening, and as it's happening, there's a lot of turmoil. People are seeing things on very different levels. Please understand that when you're looking at reality right now, you're looking at an overlay of many people, like a composite image, seeing at different levels. So some people just see the veneer of physical reality. Like, look, that's a face. They don't see who is in the face, who is behind the face, what is actually controlling and directing reality. When we start to activate these higher faculties, we begin to see beyond the veneer of the physical reality and begin to understand. I'll talk to you about the Merkaba. Wonderful. Yes. We begin to understand, I'm sorry, I just changed tracks because I saw Merkaba. Merkaba meaning light body vessel. This is ancient technology that was kept alive in the mystery school tradition to be utilized at this time. I have a whole drawing of it. I just cannot get it on my computer right now. But this is basically two interpenetrating pyramids, and the pyramids are tetrahedrons, meaning four-sided pyramids. You have one that faces up like this, and you have one that faces down like this. The flat two-dimensional cross-section looks like, here. Flat two-dimensional cross-section looks like this, but we understand that that is the flattened lower dimensional vision, and we have to see it as a third-dimensional object. All of this is about gaining another dimension. This is the lower dimensional expression. This is the higher dimensional expression. Just like a flat piece of paper is two-dimensional, and when we fold it, it becomes three-dimensional. So this shape is the flat lower dimensional expression of something that is actually volumetric, and it moves. It is fourth dimensional. And the whole idea is that we can apply that Merkaba, light body vessel, to our non-physical energy field, the pattern of our timelines, and be powerful in reality. It is like a computer system that we can use to integrate with the operating system of reality. This is why it's been suppressed information. And also, all the stuff that I talk about here, I am so wonderfully gratified when I see these wonderful comments that come on. They're like, Aurora, it's great. We love what you're talking about. I've been trying to get this message out for a very long time, and it has been diminished, it has been suppressed because it is so transformative, because it can cause such profound levels. I've shared information with people, and they have literally transformed their lives. They changed their timelines. This is about personal empowerment. This is about you personally being the artist or the author of your life, and not having someone else dictate to you. So that means not President Obama, not government dictating to you, not religion, not the Pope dictating to you, or Jesus, or some externalized God. No one else is dictating to you what you do. This is being an artist. Like when I'm an artist, I don't have to ask someone else's permission to draw or paint a painting. Like, I just do it. If you're a scientist, then you have to get permission from other scientists to, be official. Or if you're a teacher, you have to get permission from your university. Or if you're if you're in government, you have to get elected. When you're an artist, you don't need permission. And we are all artists of reality, using the paintbrush of our mind in order to create the world that we deserve and want to live in. This is a message of empowerment. So it begins in your physical body. Your physical body does not have to be tied to what your mommy and your daddy and your previous ancestors expressed as their genetic expression. Not only in your mind and in your spiritual expression, you get to be free. In your body, you get to be free. That means you don't have to express all of those stupid, crappy diseases that your ancestors expressed. When you go to the doctor now, the doctor subtly says, do you have any history of heart disease in your family? How about diabetes? How about cancer? And that's pretty much saying, like, you are connected to your family and all of their family illnesses and all of their family diseases. No, you get to be free. You get to be free. Flying Rainbow Lasagna, be the author of your own genetic code. Who cares if your grandma had diabetes? You don't have to have diabetes. Who cares if people in your life that you knew had cancer? You don't have to have cancer. All of these are expressions of thought in your physical body. How about this? The limitations that were put into you by previous generations about abundance and how to earn money and how to be your true self. A lot of people are like, wow, you got to get a safe job, right? You got to get your 401k and be a good worker, and then, become a participant in like the retirement community and everything like that. That is a program that comes from the seeds of a previous generation. That previous generation is saying, conform to society, conform to capitalism, get a good job, and that is how you get stability, and that is how you survive. That might have been how you survived in previous generations, but in this generation, that is not how you survive, because this expression of the economy has been shown to be unsustainable and psychotic in its application to the biosphere, and that we in this generation have to break with the practices of previous generations, okay? So this is personal empowerment, and this is about reclaiming the dream of the planet. We're on a planet that is a living being, that has her own artistic intention for expression. And from the genetic squashing 10 or 20,000 years ago, humanity has not been able to fully express the dream of the planet. That our entire planet has been held hostage or diminished. I hate to use the word hostage and victim, but it's that sense of not being able to truly be the person that she fully is. Because if we are expressing the time field like this in an undistorted fashion, we don't have to die. Your physical body doesn't have to die. You get to eat pure sunlight. You don't have to kill other animals to stay alive. You don't have to change and domesticate plants in order to have agriculture and stay alive. It transforms everything when you change your genes and make it possible to eat sunlight directly. And what that does, it bypasses any intermediaries. We've been using the intermediaries of chloroplasts, like chlorophyll. A plant gets light and then you eat the plant, but you don't have to use intermediaries anymore. And the same thing with religion. If we can say in a balanced way, perhaps religion was created as an intermediary to take humanity in the material with the materialistic viewpoint and focus them on something that they could then use as a springboard into the abstraction. You don't have to use that springboard anymore. You don't have to use that intermediary system like a Jesus man with a beard to make you go into heaven. Heaven is an abstract mental state. And when I've been speaking about my definition of what Satanism is, it has nothing at all to do with the Judeo-Christian religion or the Bible. Satanism is using extraterrestrial dark technology, a form of technology to distort reality. Remember, this is going from timelines that are flowing in this direction all of a sudden get distorted to this direction. This is the definition of what has been going on with Earth culture and human history for thousands of years. And it is considered to be normal. Like this is what I'm talking about. I'll use an example. I once saw a dog being walked across a crosswalk on a leash, and the dog looked up at its owner with such total adulation on its face, like, I love you so much. It's a complex, crazy world. There's all of these loud things around here, but you, my owner, my master, you keep me safe. You help me to know what to do and where to go. And that level of programming has been programmed into humanity as part of the genetic engineering, that you are programmed to say, it's a scary world of all of these different timelines and possibilities out there. You don't know what the future holds. You don't know how to navigate those timelines. Luckily, your mind is on a leash. Luckily, you have a benevolent master in the form of these religious gods that will tell you what to do and keep you safe and then harvest your consciousness at the end of your life. And then you'll go and live with them forever in heaven. But that heaven is not a real heaven. Real heaven is the unbroken circulating of energy, constantly flowing, and never held hostage or imprisoned. So real heaven can be experienced when you're still in your physical body, when you're on this timeline. That was the intention for our bodies, that we were meant to have a genetic expression that gave us a heavenly experience in the physical realm. And what we've been experiencing has been the antithesis, and especially right now, why I'm doing this broadcast, there is a malevolent push or spell or dark magic intention to create a hellish existence here in the physical realm. And it's been, over the past 15 years, slowly building, and right now it's at the crescendo. So vaccines that damage and diminish human consciousness are part of this. I have just defined to you that heaven is actually a state of mind. And we are understanding as a society that vaccines are harming the state of mind, the mental expression of many of our infants and little tiny vulnerable children. When babies come here, they are so happy. They're connected to the divine. They're connected to God. And little by little, you know, that connection gets chipped away. When the modern vaccinations are done to them, it is a total distortion that takes them away from that beautiful divine connection and puts them into a distorted perception and literally takes them out of that heavenly state of mind. And there are many other things that are doing that too. I already mentioned genetically modified food, pharmaceuticals, atmospheric aerosols, otherwise known as chemtrails, and electrosmog. And those two things are done intentionally in order to reduce human consciousness, to reduce this. It's not just the physical sun being blocked out. It is the consciousness broadcast of the sun that is being blocked out, making it more difficult for you to do this and connect on an interior level with the source of consciousness. Because if you could, that would be just too easy, right? Like, oh, this is all a bunch of nonsense. I'm being fed lies and bullshit. This is what would happen to all of humanity. So over the past 15 years, we have seen a gradual awakening because there was a spell that was cast on 9/11. It's like a bomb, drop a bomb, and then there are reverberations through time. And those reverberations were through time, and they were meant to, fluoride is another thing that reduces human consciousness. The reverberations of the spell that was cast on 9/11 with the sacrificial victims in the towers and in the Pentagon that were killed, and all the sacrificial victims that were in the wars afterwards in order to keep that going, was meant to blind you and hypnotize you or bind you from acting and not be able to perceive who did it, that they did it, and how to free yourselves. And this whole entire 15-year journey that I have been on as Aurora with the Flying Rainbow Lasagne has been about trying to bring this crucial tool for freedom to everyone and get as many people as possible to know about it. So again, looking at the shape is transformative. Understanding it just by looking at it is transformative. Understanding it on an intellectual level, if you watch the videos and understand its profundity. And then it is an activity that you perform yourself. So you begin to dance your own genes at the level of your nuclei like a flying rainbow lasagna, and you join the genetic symphony. So I dance like a flying rainbow lasagna every day now. What I do is I put on music that I really love on my headphones, and if there's sunlight, I will sit in the sunlight or get it on my face, and I connect to the genetic symphony around us. So newsflash, you are not just swimming around in your own private kiddie pool. You are connected to an ocean of consciousness, and the ocean of consciousness is connected to you through your genes, all right? So I'm sitting here, I got trees outside my window, I'm connected to them by genes, and I'm connected to the entire microbial realm of this world. So if there's a bacterium in Australia, I'm connected to that bacterium through the vibration of genes. This is to understand that everything that we are doing as an individual is affecting everyone else. We're marinating, we're in the soup, we're in the stew, we are all stewing together. Or like many metronomes placed on a table that are not synchronized. Some of them are moving faster, some of them are moving slower. If you place all of these different non-synchronized metronomes on one table, they end up synchronizing because the table transfers energy between them, and the faster ones get slower and the slower ones get faster. This is humanity. This is the giant, undifferentiated totality. We could call it the noosphere, or the totality of all that is thought on the surface of Earth. That the slower energy and the faster energy is all balancing out, and there's achieving like a homeostasis. Okay, so we have this experiment that was done in Russia showing that genes affect other genes non-locally, that what is happening in the behavior of one gene in one area of the laboratory can affect other genes in a test tube across the entire room, not physically connected. this is what you understand. Even if I never came on Facebook and used my flapping, moving mouth parts to make sounds that you could understand as this, even if I just sat in my garden and did this, it would still be affecting humanity. It would still be affecting the earth, because we are all part of this continuum of consciousness. So I'm almost at the end of this broadcast. I'm sure there were 10 million different questions that people were asking that I didn't get a chance. I'm going to scroll real fast and see what's going on. Merkaba and DNA, I think I did that, and I have a whole teaching that's about that. Just scrolling. Yes, okay, so good. Good. I'm just reading about people's comments that they have made. Everybody understands. You're absolutely getting it. Thank you. Okay, I'll end the broadcast for now and come back and do some more. But basically, we are just perched on the cusp of this moment of total freedom, and I'm so happy to be here with everyone and sharing this journey. Like, this is the signing off. We are all connected. We are giving birth. This is a huge collaborative effort. This is, yes, that's what it is. And it is a very wonderful thing. Like, it can feel like it's a battle, it's a war, it's duality, it's thing versus thing. It's really a spiritual unfoldment. It is really about birth. Something new is on the horizon that's been coming for a long time, and it's here now, and you don't have to wait any longer for it, and you don't have to ask anyone else's permission, and you can do it right now. Like, without any money, without anything, without any technology, you can be the Flying Rainbow Lasagna along with me and many others right now. So thank you very much. I'm gonna sign off.